9-7-1 last year.
Yeah.
Second in the NFC North. Year 8 for Matt LaFleur as head coach. His record overall 76-40. So you'd say that's pretty impressive. It's year 4 for Jordan Love as the starting quarterback. I know he sat for a couple of years. They did sign Christian Watson to a 3-year extension. Micah Parsons, I think, is going to miss a number of games at the start. So when you look at their notable additions, not too many. On offense, they brought in Tyrod Taylor as their backup. They've brought in Sky Moore to be, a fourth or fifth receiver, I think. I don't know if he's going to start as
Yeah.
the returner.
Yeah.
And on defense, they've brought in Javon Hargrave, who amazingly the Niners are actually still paying for, and Zaire Franklin, I believe, from the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
They did lose Quay Walker to the Raiders.
Yeah.
I think the team is still pretty much as it was.
They lost Rashawn Gary as well.
Oh, they lost Rashawn Gary. Yeah, exactly.
I think he walked, or they got a very late round pick.
Trade to the Cowboys. Yeah.
Yeah. It was nothing, not hardly any compensation. But the Packers, like when I looked at the Packers, this team were a potential number 1 seed in the NFC last year, playing the Broncos. They were up against the Broncos, and Micah Parsons got hurt, and then boom, we saw what happened. And then they were in the game with the Bears, and then Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson did some crazy stuff in the fourth quarter, and then they came back. So their season could have been a lot different than what it was. And if you pay attention to Jordan Love's play last year, it was actually strangely not Jordan Love kind of play. He was a little bit more accurate and balanced than what you would expect, because at least I think of Jordan Love as being a bit streaky and being a bit like, oh my God, what a throw. How on earth did he do that? And then what a stupid, dumbass play. Why did he do that? But he was a little bit more on a level last year. And Micah Parsons, they made the trades. Credit to them for making the trade, because I think they now have a true superstar on their defensive line. And it just so happened that he got hurt at a critical moment of the season when they were going toe-to-toe. They were actually up on the Broncos in the race for the number 1 seed. Then they ended up being a wild card, having to go to the Bears. And that was the last game that they won. Because after the Broncos game, so they ended up losing that game to the Broncos. Then they lost to the Bears, lost to the Ravens, lost to the Vikings. So they lost 4 straight heading into the playoffs, and then got dumped out of the playoffs by the Bears and were up on the Bears. So their season could have been a whole lot different.
And it should have been. When you look at 7 losses and a tie against the Cowboys, they blew too many leads for my liking.
Oh, yeah. That
double-digit.
Cowboys was crazy.
Yeah. And
40-40.
But they were in complete control for the first half. And they were in complete control of a number of games that they ended up not winning.
Yeah.
And so, my main concern for them is just on the floor and his mindset. It's quite funny, really. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers' conservative mindset. I have the same issue with LaFleur, because they need to be able to kill off these games. They shouldn't be in a situation where Jordan Love is throwing for almost 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and you're losing a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
They were in control of that until they weren't. And I'm not saying it's all on the coach. The players have to execute as well. But there's just too many little decisions where I'm like, it's 4th and 1 against the Eagles. The game is on the line. And you're telling me the play call is inside zone to Josh Jacobs to Jalen Carter. That's your move. It's, I think there needs to be a bit more aggressiveness from the coach, in my opinion.
Yeah, but they've got that wild card. Micah Parsons changes everything. So they could
Yep.
have a limiting factor, like you said, and I agree with you about the head coach. But Micah Parsons just changes everything. He just does. He's just that good. So if he's healthy, then it doesn't matter so much about everything else. He just compensates for everything. So the secondary is good. Doesn't matter. Micah Parsons is playing, and he's just going to dominate. Like Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs would probably be okay for this year, but if he gets hurt, there's no running back depth behind him, so he's got to be healthy. For me, it goes. The Packers go with: is Josh Jacobs going to make it through the year, and does Micah Parsons make it through the year? If both answers are yes, then the Packers can potentially win the Super Bowl. If either answer is no or maybe or they miss time, then the Packers cannot win the Super Bowl. It's for me as simple as that because both of those being yes, they can overcome the conservative nature of the play calling.
Yeah, I mean that should be the case most of the time. It's odd, really. I mean, when I think about the Cowboys game, that is an anomaly because you had Jacobs, you had Parsons, but it's just one of those I think where the
Yeah,
Cowboys got momentum. It's the other games where I looked at and said something went wrong here.
yeah,
You're in complete control and you've let slip multiple score leads.
yeah,
That is a disease. That's something that the Niners dealt with a few years ago, and it does linger. It's almost like a mindset. It's like a psychological thing where are we going to do it again? They have to overcome that this year, but they did have a lot of injuries. So you're right. Losing Micah Parsons was obviously the big one, but it's easy to forget about the tight end. Tucker Kraft was having an unbelievable year, and then he got injured. They had too many wide receivers last year where we didn't understand like what's everyone's role.
mm,
Apart from really Christian Watson, who we knew, okay, he's the guy. Like if he can stay healthy, he's the guy that they're going to go to. Like he's the number one. He is an unbelievable talent, but can he stay on the field? Because when he does, we know that that's their guy. They've got rid of Dontavian Wicks. They got rid of Dobbs, so it's very clear now.
yeah.
Christian Watson's your number one. Jaden Reed is your slot guy. You've got a monster at tight end if he can come back healthy, and then you've got your X factor, that you picked last year. I'm forgetting his name, Golden,
Mm.
because Golden was lost in the shuffle last year.
Well,
He
he got hurt. He missed time mid-season, so yeah, he missed a lot of time, and then he only scored. I don't think he. I know he scored a touchdown in the playoff game against the Bears, but I don't think he scored a touchdown in the regular season. So, and he was getting a lot of stick, but he missed time. So he does add something because he is very quick. He adds something different, but Watson is a question mark whether he's healthy for week one. So the Packers are potentially got,
already. Oh
yeah,
my god.
so they've
Yeah.
potentially from having too many receivers to not having enough receivers. And Golden needs to stay healthy because they're going to ask more of him this year.
Yeah.
He was productive when he was on the field last year, but people want to see those touchdowns, and he didn't catch touchdown passes. But if you look at the play, he was very good, including against, because I went back and watched that Broncos game I was talking about where Parsons got hurt. Golden was really good against that defense, so he's really good against that Broncos secondary. So I think they've got a player in Golden.
Yeah.
He just needs to be healthy, and if he is healthy, yeah, if you can have success against the Broncos, you can be a player in this league.
And now he has got a defined role, I think, because it is a case of those are your three guys at receiver now. You kind of had five guys that will go with the hot-handed bit. You can't really. I don't think you can really operate like that. But I take your point now. Like if one of them gets injured, there's not a lot behind them.
No,
So
no.
especially Watson.
I think they are going to ride and die with Josh Jacobs. He needs to be healthy throughout the whole regular season, and as we've seen, that adds to Jordan Love as a play action passer.
Yeah.
He's devastating. So Josh Jacobs, for me, there's two guys. There's Jacobs, obviously Jordan Love and McKinney, the safety, but the two guys are Jacobs on either side of the ball, Jacobs and Parsons. And they've also got the question of Hafley leaving to go and head coach the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Gannon has come back to being a DC after his time with the Cardinals.
Interesting.
But he got his head coaching opportunity after success as a DC with the Eagles. So he might be one of those guys that's a defensive coordinator. Maybe not.
I am a big fan of Gannon from a game planning point of view. Like I don't, he was at the Cardinals. He did in his first couple of years. He kind of surprised and then fell flat.
But like, do you remember there was the crazy talk of like, would a college team beat this roster?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Cardinals, and he almost overachieved. But then it came back to earth. Then they came back to earth, and
that could be a real value add for the Packers. I think being a DC again. And I suppose the question with Jacobs is not just on health, because he had this off-field issue that I don't think is resolved yet.
Yeah, from what I heard, that it might linger on, but it might linger on throughout the year, as in
next year.
Yeah, he might make it through this year. And he's 28, so he should still be okay.
Yeah.
I think he's actually elevated since leaving the Raiders. He was a very good player on the Raiders, but since he's come to Green Bay, I'd be like, wow, Josh Jacobs is a stud. He's a really good runner.
He had a great final year with the Raiders, and you're sort of like, oh yeah, but in non-meaningful games. And I totally agree. Like he's been the key to their offense.
Yeah.
There isn't the Jordan Love production, as you said, from a play action point of view without Jacobs. He's a walking 100+ scrimmage yards per game back now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Green Bay, outdoor stadium, running the ball. Okay, O-line. Used to be a great O-line. Now it's, at least personnel-wise, yeah, it's okay. But Jacobs, big physical running back, just makes it all go. But yeah, that's the Packers. They could win the Super Bowl with this roster. They really could. And they're not going to be terrible because they've got enough talent. They've got enough talent all around this roster. But
I think for me, the question is on execution. Because like you said, they've got the talent. It's just 9-7-1. Like they were a 13-win team last year. They should have been.
Yeah. Yeah, but they were 9, what was it? 9-3-1.
Even at 9-3-1, they could have easily been at least 11-2 from the games that they dropped. I mean, they should. It was kind of Jordan Love's fault they dropped the Browns game, and I still think they shouldn't have dropped the Cowboys game. So that's 2 already. That's even with, like you said, the key weapons, if you like, with Jacobs and Parsons on the field. They're still dropping those games.
Yeah.